The quantum drive of the Iridian survey vessel hummed with an unsettling resonance as it approached the unremarkable star system. Captain Zixtal's iridescent exoskeleton rippled with a mixture of professional curiosity and deep-seated apprehension. Preliminary long-range scans had painted an enigmatic picture of the third planet, a world that defied every conventional understanding of intelligent life. Senior xenoanalyst Krelax manipulated the holographic displays, his multiple appendages dancing across complex sensory interfaces. "Extraordinary," he muttered, mandibles clicking with a rhythm that betrayed his growing excitement. The electromagnetic emissions are chaotic, yet structured, completely contradictory. The planet called Earth was a symphony of controlled chaos. Massive urban centers blazed with technological networks that pulsed with incredible complexity, while simultaneously hosting regions of remarkable technological disparity. Satellite imagery revealed cities of gleaming towers next to communities struggling with basic infrastructure. Vast communication networks coexisted with pockets of isolation that seemed to exist in different centuries. "Look here," Krelax zoomed in on a particular region. "Simultaneous weapon development and medical breakthrough research. A single research complex developing both advanced cancer treatment and next-generation missile systems." His voice carried a mix of confusion and grudging respect. Captain Zixtal leaned closer, the ship's sensory field extending delicate quantum tendrils of investigation. Military communications intercepted revealed a species in constant states of conflict and cooperation. They argued about resources, ideologies, and philosophical concepts, while simultaneously developing technologies that pushed the boundaries of known scientific understanding. The ship's linguistic algorithms worked overtime, decoding multiple communication streams. News broadcasts, military communications, scientific discussions, and personal communications created a cacophony of data that threatened to overwhelm even the most advanced alien analysis systems. "They're preparing for something," whispered comm officer Lorana, her sensory tendrils vibrating with an emotion close to fear. But preparing for what? Conflict, exploration, survival. The answer, it seemed, was all of the above. A sudden burst of communication caught their attention. Some kind of international incident was unfolding, a complex diplomatic scenario involving multiple nation-states, economic interests, and technological competition. The speed at which information moved, the complexity of the interactions, defied everything the Iridian Collective understood about emerging intelligent species. "Their technology is less advanced than ours," Krelax noted, "but their adaptive capabilities are unprecedented." The first direct communication intercept came unexpectedly. A military transmission, garbled but filled with a raw, aggressive energy that sent a collective shiver through the alien crew. It wasn't just a message, it was a statement of intent, of potential. Captain Zixtal made a decision that would echo through galactic history. "Initiate first contact protocols," he commanded, but with maximum caution. They would approach the humans, but something in the back of every crew member's mind whispered a warning. This would not be a typical first contact. These humans were different, unpredictable, dangerous, and they were absolutely right to be afraid. The Galactic Confederation's Central Intelligence Hub burned with an intensity that matched the growing paranoia. Holographic displays flickered with human-related data, each new piece of information adding another layer to an increasingly complex puzzle. Grand Strategist Vornak stood at the center of the massive circular chamber, his scaled body rigid with tension. Delegates from 17 different species watched in collective apprehension as he began his presentation on the human threat. "We've compiled a comprehensive analysis of human historical and technological development," Vornak announced, his voice resonating through advanced translation matrices. A massive holographic timeline erupted around him, displaying humanity's trajectory from primitive tribal societies to a species on the brink of interstellar capability. The timeline was a nightmare of contradictions. Periods of devastating global conflicts interspersed with rapid technological leaps. Within mere decades, humans had progressed from basic powered flight to nuclear technology, from isolated communication networks to global information systems. Each advancement seemed to come with an almost reckless disregard for conventional developmental patterns. Observe their adaptation mechanism. Vornak highlighted a series of historical events. World wars that should have destroyed their civilization instead became catalysts for unprecedented technological and social transformation. Economic collapses that would have annihilated any other species became opportunities for reinvention. The Kryaxian representative, a crystalline being whose molecular structure reflected emotional states, shifted to a deep crimson of fear. Their ability to convert conflict into progress is unnatural. It transmitted through its quantum communication node. Intelligence reports painted an even more disturbing picture. Humans possessed a unique psychological profile that defied standard xenobiological classifications. Where most species would fracture under systemic stress, humans seemed to become more unified, more innovative. Their social structures could absorb massive disruptions and emerge stronger. Military analysts discovered something truly terrifying. Human military doctrine wasn't about total destruction, but about adaptive problem-solving. Their weapon systems were less about pure offensive capability and more about creating dynamic, unpredictable response mechanisms. We are facing a species that doesn't just adapt. Vornak's holographic projection zoomed into detailed analyses of human technological patterns. They fundamentally reimagined technological possibilities with each challenge. The quantum archives revealed patterns that sent chills through the assembled delegates. Humans had survived multiple near-extinction events, climate catastrophes, potential nuclear conflicts, global pandemics. Each time, they didn't just survive. They transformed. A secret council formed in the shadows of the main chamber. 17 species, historically rivals, now united by a singular, terrifying conclusion. Humanity represented an existential threat that could not be allowed to expand unchecked. The Oridian Collective, still reeling from their initial reconnaissance, provided critical intelligence. Their preliminary reports suggested that human technological development wasn't linear. It was exponential and entirely unpredictable. "We cannot wait," whispered the Jantok ambassador, its methane-based form shimmering with strategic calculations. Containment is no longer an option. We must consider preemptive intervention. The plan took shape slowly, meticulously. A coordinated series of destabilizing actions designed to fragment human technological and social infrastructure. Subtle attacks on communication networks, economic manipulation, strategic resource disruption. They believed they were being clever. They believed they understood the humans. They were catastrophically wrong. In a small research facility on Earth, a team of scientists and strategists were already 3 moves ahead, watching, waiting, and preparing a response that would shake the foundations of galactic civilization. The first attacks came like whispers in the dark, silent, calculated, designed to create maximum psychological impact with minimal direct confrontation. Isolated human colonies found themselves under siege by an enemy they couldn't fully comprehend. On the mining settlement of Callisto Outpost, Lieutenant Commander Elena Rodriguez watched the first signs of systematic interference unfold. Communication networks flickered. Power systems dropped intermittently. Equipment began to fail in patterns that defied standard malfunction protocols. "This isn't random," Elena muttered, her fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. Her team of analysts, a mix of military personnel, quantum computing experts, and xenoanalytical specialists, worked with a precision that bordered on symbiosis. The attacked colonies represented humanity's frontier. Small, seemingly vulnerable research and mining settlements scattered across the solar system's outer reaches. Places most would consider soft targets, but the attackers didn't understand the fundamental nature of human resilience. Each attack revealed more than the attackers intended. Quantum communication traces, subtle energy signatures, minute technological fingerprints that most species would miss, but humans were uniquely equipped to decode. Dr. Marcus Chen, the outpost's chief of research, discovered the first critical piece of the puzzle. The attack pattern suggested a coordinated effort from multiple alien civilizations, a coalition designed to systematically destabilize human expansion capabilities. They're trying to create psychological warfare, Marcus explained to Elena, holographic displays showing intricate webs of communication disruptions. Not just disable us, demoralize us. The human response was nothing like the alien coalition expected. Instead of panic, the attacked colonies began to transform. Each settlement became a living laboratory of adaptive response. Mining outposts reconfigured their communication systems. Research stations developed quantum encryption methods that made their networks virtually impenetrable. Elena's team did something truly unexpected. They didn't just defend, they began to hunt. Using advanced machine learning algorithms and quantum computing capabilities, they started mapping the attack vectors. Each attempted disruption became a source of intelligence. The human networks began to learn, to anticipate, to predict the attacker's next moves with uncanny precision. On Europa, a small research station turned a communication network disruption into a comprehensive intelligence-gathering operation. What was meant to be a destabilizing attack became a detailed map of the alien coalition's communication infrastructure. The alien attackers had made a critical miscalculation. They viewed humans as a linear, predictable species. They didn't understand that human innovation emerged from chaos, that their greatest strength was their ability to transform challenges into opportunities. Quantum communication networks that had been under development for years suddenly found their perfect testing ground. Each attack became a catalyst for technological innovation that would have taken decades under normal circumstances. By the time the alien coalition realized something was wrong, humanity had already transformed their initial vulnerability into a sophisticated counterintelligence operation. Elena Rodriguez sat in her command center, a holographic globe rotating before her. Colored lines representing communication traces, attack vectors, and potential response strategies created a complex, living diagram of conflict. "They thought we were weak," she said quietly to her team. "They have no idea what's coming." The hunt was about to begin, and humanity was going to show the galaxy exactly what they were capable of. The Battle of Proxima Centauri would be remembered as the moment everything changed. Captain Zixtal watched in horrified fascination as human ships moved with a fluidity that defied every known principle of space combat. It wasn't just technology, it was something more profound, a living, breathing strategy that seemed to anticipate every possible move before it could be executed. The human fleet arrived like a quantum storm. 12 primary vessels, each surrounded by a constellation of smaller autonomous drones that moved with an intelligence that bordered on sentience. Their formations were not static positions, but dynamic, ever-changing ecosystems of strategic potential. Dr. Elena Rodriguez commanded from the central strategy hub of the UEA's Prometheus, her interface a symphony of quantum-entangled communication networks. Around her, a team of specialists worked with a synchronicity that made them seem less like individual humans and more like components of a single vast intelligence. "First wave incoming," announced Lieutenant James Nakamura, his fingers dancing across holographic displays that seemed to breathe and pulse with living information. Alien Coalition's primary assault group approaching from the Orion vectors. The alien fleet was impressive by any standard. Massive kilometer-long vessels equipped with weapon systems that could shatter planetary crusts. Cutting-edge shield technologies. Faster-than-light capabilities that had dominated galactic conflicts for centuries. They never stood a chance. The human response was unlike anything in recorded galactic history. Their ships didn't just move, they anticipated. Adaptive AI systems processed billions of potential scenarios per microsecond, creating response strategies that emerged and dissolved faster than the alien tacticians could comprehend. Shield modulations that changed faster than targeting systems could lock. Weapon frequencies that constantly shifted, rendering traditional defensive protocols obsolete. Electronic warfare capabilities that didn't just disrupt, they completely reimagined the very concept of communication and targeting. Captain Zixtal watched in growing terror as entire squadrons of alien vessels found themselves completely neutralized without a single direct hit. It wasn't destruction. It was obsolescence. The most terrifying aspect wasn't the technology. It was the strategy. Humans weren't just fighting. They were solving a complex, multidimensional problem in real time. Each movement was a communication. Each defensive action contained the seeds of a future offensive strategy. They're not just defeating us. Zixtal's second-in-command whispered, "They're teaching us something." At the battle's critical moment, the human fleet did something unprecedented. Instead of total annihilation, they demonstrated selective, surgical precision that was more terrifying than outright destruction. Entire alien command structures were systematically disabled, their technological infrastructure surgically dismantled with a level of precision that suggested the humans could have destroyed everything, but chose not to. A single communication burst emerged from the UES Prometheus. Not a threat, not a declaration of victory, but a simple, chilling message. This is a demonstration, not a declaration of war. The quantum communication carried more psychological weight than any weapon. It was a statement of capability, of choice, of a fundamental understanding that true power wasn't about destruction, but about the ability to choose not to destroy. When the dust settled, the alien coalition had lost over 70% of its forward assault fleet, not through overwhelming force, but through a strategy so advanced it seemed almost magical. Humanity had just rewritten the rules of galactic conflict. Psychological warfare became humanity's most potent weapon. The campaign began with surgical precision that left the entire galactic community breathless. Instead of launching full-scale retaliatory attacks, humans demonstrated a form of strategic communication that was more terrifying than any weapon. On the methane-rich world of Cryax Prime, the human response unfolded like a masterclass in calculated intimidation. The planet's extensive defense network, considered impenetrable by galactic standards, found itself systematically dismantled. Not destroyed. Dismantled. Communication relays went silent. Planetary defense systems powered down with mathematical precision. Shield generators recalibrated themselves to render themselves completely ineffective. It wasn't an invasion. It was a demonstration of absolute technological superiority that sent shockwaves through every alien civilization. Dr. Elena Rodriguez oversaw the operation from the UES Prometheus, her team working with a cold, calculated efficiency that seemed almost supernatural. Each action was a message. Each technological intervention, a statement of capability. "We're not here to conquer," she explained to her team. "We're here to communicate." The most terrifying aspect was the selectivity. Entire planetary defense systems were neutralized without a single civilian casualty. Critical infrastructure remained untouched. It was a display of such precise control that it defied every known principle of warfare. Alien intelligence networks went into overdrive. How was this possible? How could a species demonstrate such complete technological dominance and deliberately choose, to show restraint? On the communication networks that spanned thousands of light years, a new narrative began to emerge. Humans weren't just a military threat. They were something far more complex, a species that could completely dominate a situation and choose not to. The Oridian Collective's most advanced analysts worked frantically to understand the human strategy. Their reports became increasingly desperate. Normal military doctrine suggested total elimination of a potential threat. Humans were doing something entirely different. They were teaching. Each intervention was a lesson. Each demonstration of technological capability was a form of communication more profound than any diplomatic exchange. The humans were showing the galaxy that true power wasn't about destruction. It was about choice. Captain Zixtal received the reports with a growing sense of existential dread. The human actions defied every principle of conflict he had ever understood. They weren't just defeating enemies. They were fundamentally changing the concept of what an enemy could be. On the quantum communication networks, human strategists began to implement something unprecedented. They started sharing technological solutions to problems that had plagued alien civilizations for centuries, not as a gesture of peace, but as a calculated demonstration of their capabilities. A breakthrough in quantum communication technology here. An advanced medical treatment algorithm there. Each shared innovation was a subtle reminder. We could have used this against you. Instead, we're choosing to help. The psychological impact was devastating. Entire alien civilizations found themselves reassessing everything they thought they knew about conflict, power, and interstellar relations. Humanity wasn't just a military power. They were becoming something else entirely. A species that could reshape galactic dynamics through sheer force of innovation and choice. "We are not your enemies," became the unspoken message. "We are your potential future." And the galaxy listened. The diplomatic summit on the neutral space station Concordia was unlike any gathering in galactic history. 17 alien civilizations watched with a mixture of terror and fascination as Dr. Elena Rodriguez prepared to speak. The station's central chamber was a marvel of quantum adaptive architecture, its walls capable of translating and interpreting multiple communication spectra simultaneously. Representatives from species that had been bitter enemies for millennia now sat side by side, united by a singular focus: understanding humanity. Elena Rodriguez was not what they expected. She arrived without military escort, without the typical displays of technological superiority that most delegations used. Instead, she carried a simple data crystal and wore a standard diplomatic interface that seemed almost primitive compared to the advanced holographic systems surrounding her. "We're here to solve problems," she began, her words translated across multiple quantum communication matrices, not create them. The proposal was radical. Humanity would share its most advanced technological developments, not as a weapon, but as a collaborative platform for galactic problem-solving. Quantum communication networks that could instantaneously link distant civilizations. Adaptive medical algorithms that could cure diseases thought incurable. Environmental restoration technologies that could reverse centuries of ecological damage. The catch: true, genuine cooperation. Ambassador Zixtal of the Iridian Collective watched with a mixture of fear and grudging respect. Humans were doing something unprecedented. They weren't negotiating. They were reimagining the entire concept of interstellar relations. "We've identified 17 critical challenges facing galactic civilizations," Elena continued, her holographic presentation revealing complex, interconnected problem matrices. "And we believe these can be solved through collaborative innovation." The diplomatic algorithms working overtime struggled to categorize the approach. It wasn't diplomacy in any traditional sense. It was something more, a form of strategic collaboration that transformed conflict into opportunity. The most shocking element was the transparency. Humanity laid bare its technological capabilities, demonstrating that they could have conquered the galaxy, but chose instead to collaborate. Each shared technology was a message. "We are powerful enough to do this alone, but we choose not to." Kailin, the crystalline representative from the Jantok Consortium, found herself experiencing an emotion close to wonder. The humans weren't just offering technology. They were offering a new way of thinking about existence itself. "You're proposing a fundamental restructuring of galactic social systems," one elder diplomat challenged. Elena's response was simple and devastating. "We're proposing that survival is a collaborative effort." The diplomatic algorithms captured something extraordinary. This wasn't a negotiation. It was a redefinition of potential. Humanity was offering more than technology. They were offering a new paradigm of existence, a way of thinking that transformed competition into collaboration, conflict into innovation. By the summit's conclusion, something had fundamentally changed. The alien civilizations that had once feared humanity now found themselves seeing a different possibility. Not conquest, not submission, but something far more profound. A partnership. The quantum communication networks hummed with a new possibility. Humanity had just rewritten the rules of interstellar relations, and they were just getting started. The transformation was subtle at first, then suddenly everywhere. Universities across the galaxy began establishing departments dedicated to human studies, not as a threat assessment, but as a profound area of scientific and cultural exploration. What made humans so uniquely adaptive? How did a species evolve such extraordinary capabilities of innovation and resilience? Dr. Elena Rodriguez found herself at the center of a galactic intellectual revolution. Research stations on 100 different worlds began dissecting human technological and social approaches. They discovered something far more complex than mere technological superiority. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't its weapons or its technology. It was its ability to reimagine possibility. On the methane world of Cryax Prime, researchers discovered how human social algorithms could resolve centuries-old conflicts between indigenous populations. The Auridian Collective found human medical nanotech could solve genetic disorders that had decimated their populations for millennia. The Jantok Consortium implemented human-developed ecological restoration techniques that began healing planets thought permanently damaged. Each civilization began to understand that humans weren't just sharing technology. They were offering a completely new way of thinking about existence. Quantum communication networks evolved beyond simple information exchange. They became living platforms of collaborative problem-solving. Species that had been enemies for thousands of years found themselves working together, guided by human-developed collaborative frameworks. The most profound changes happened in unexpected places. On remote research stations, young alien scientists began studying human history with an intensity that bordered on obsession. They weren't just learning about a species, they were learning an entirely new approach to challenge and innovation. Dr. Marcus Chen, now leading the Interspecies Collaborative Research Initiative, watched with a mixture of pride and humility. Humanity had done something unprecedented. They had transformed fear into opportunity. "We're not special," he would often tell young researchers from across the galaxy. "We're just willing to look at problems differently." But they were special, and everyone knew it. Technological breakthroughs emerged at an exponential rate. Adaptive AI systems developed by human researchers began solving complex mathematical problems that had stumped entire civilizations. Medical technologies reversed genetic limitations. Environmental restoration techniques transformed dying worlds. The galactic economy underwent a complete metamorphosis. Collaborative research replaced competitive development. Species that had been technological rivals now worked together, guided by human-developed cooperation protocols. Ambassador Zixtel of the Auridian Collective reflected on the transformation during a quantum communication session. Humanity hadn't conquered the galaxy through force. They had transformed it through imagination. Universities competed to recruit human researchers and educators, not as experts to be studied, but as collaborative partners. Young aliens from 100 different worlds studied human approaches to problem-solving, social innovation, and technological development. The most radical transformation was psychological. Species began to see challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities for collaborative growth. The human concept of turning problems into possibilities became a galactic philosophy. Humanity had done something extraordinary. They had changed the very way civilizations thought about themselves and each other. And they were just getting started. The final treaty signing wasn't just a diplomatic event. It was a moment that would be etched into galactic history forever. The Concordia space station, once a neutral meeting ground, now stood as a testament to humanity's transformative potential. Representatives from 17 different species gathered in a chamber that seemed to breathe with possibility. Quantum communication networks hummed with anticipation. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood at the center, not as a conqueror, but as a bridge builder. The treaty was more than a political document. It was a fundamental reimagining of interstellar cooperation, collaborative research initiatives, shared technological development, mutual protection agreements that prioritize collective growth over individual advancement. Ambassador Zixtel of the Auridian Collective watched with a mixture of awe and lingering trepidation. Humanity had done something unprecedented. They had transformed a potential conflict into a galactic renaissance. "We are not signing a peace treaty," Elena announced, her words translated across multiple communication spectra. "We are creating a framework for collective survival." The most radical clause was buried deep in the document's quantum-encrypted core. Any civilization facing an existential threat would receive immediate, comprehensive support, not as a military intervention, but as a collaborative rescue effort. Resources, technologies, innovative problem-solving approaches. Young researchers from across the galaxy understood the deeper meaning. This wasn't just a political agreement. It was a new way of thinking about existence itself. Dr. Marcus Chen, now the chief architect of the Interspecies Collaborative Research Initiative, reflected on the journey. Humanity had transformed from a species feared and misunderstood to the primary architects of a new galactic paradigm. The treaty's implementation was immediate and profound. Collaborative research stations began sprouting across multiple star systems. Species that had been bitter enemies for millennia now worked side by side, guided by human-developed cooperation protocols. Quantum communication networks became living platforms of shared knowledge. A breakthrough in medical technology on one world could be instantaneously shared and adapted across hundreds of civilizations. Environmental restoration techniques developed for one ecosystem could be modified to heal entire planetary systems. The most unexpected transformation was psychological. Species began to see challenges not as threats, but as opportunities for collective growth. The human concept of turning problems into possibilities became a galactic philosophy. Delina Rodriguez watched the proceedings with a sense of quiet satisfaction. They hadn't conquered the galaxy. They had shown the galaxy a different way of existing. "We are not special," she had often told her team. "We're just willing to look at problems differently." But they were special, and everyone knew it. As the final quantum signatures were encoded into the treaty, something extraordinary happened. The very fabric of galactic civilization seemed to shift. Barriers that had existed for thousands of years began to dissolve. Collaborative potential replaced competitive limitations. Humanity had done something unprecedented. They had transformed fear into opportunity, conflict into cooperation, limitation into potential. The stars themselves seemed to bear witness to a new chapter of existence. And they were just getting started.